Welcome to the Lowdown Podcast, the show where we dive deep into the topics that directly impact the evolving originator. I'm your host, Connor Bartley. Bam! And joining me today, I've got Mike Fitzpatrick. He's the founder and division president of Legendary Mortgage. It's a member of the Lower family, and he caught my attention. I'm thrilled that I get to work with the guy, and I see that he's doing some really innovative things to not only just grow as an originator and as a leader, but also to support his team and really represents kind of next generation thinking, in my opinion. And so, Mike, I'm happy to have you here today for this conversation. Really want to dig into some of the things that you're doing that is unique and building and share like what that journey was like and why you feel it's important to do that as a leader to provide that kind of value to your teams. Thanks for joining us today, Mike.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, Connor. I don't tell my story of like my origin story in the business very often, so I'll try to summarize it pretty quickly. I was in the insurance business, financial planning. My dad owned a company on that side. I was stuffing envelopes at 8 years old for direct mailers, and so I've been around the sales game for my entire life. It's the only thing that I've really ever known, and then worked for him for a bit, and then at 21 years old started my own branch, and just dove into the deep end. Didn't know what I was doing, barely knew what a mortgage actually was, and just decided, all right, this is what I'm going to do. My dad's best friend was named Mike, and that's who I'm named after, and he actually made a ton of money in the mortgage business. And I was like, listen, you name me Mike, your best friend's Mike, he's in the mortgage business, I'm going to do this, it's going to be awesome. And the reality was, after 2 years, it was not awesome.
Yeah.
For my first 2 years of the business, before I had changed over to a company I was with for 7 years, I mean, I had a W-2 that probably said 12 grand on it that I handed that company and said, "Hey, I'm highly connected in the area that I'm in, and I think that I can do this. I just the company I'm with now just is managing the risk rather than managing the closing loans." And so once I made the switch and got some good ops behind me, I took off. I mean, I think I did anywhere from 17 to 20 million in like a six month span. I mean, I went from making 12 grand a year to grossing well into the six figures in a 6 month period.
That's awesome. So real quick though, I want to ask you a quick question. So you get into this business at 21 years old. And I know some of the people that listen are, kind of that younger generation, a loan officer, and maybe they deal a little bit with just being like the insecurity of being the young guy in the room or the young gal in the room. Like how did you overcome that, or how did you deal with that?
To start out with, it was blind confidence. I played sports, so there was a fair amount of the sports background in me that I was just competitive and I was going to carve out my space. But outside of that, I think the thing, like, if I could tell you my superpower, if I had a superpower per se, it would be that I'm a highly effective researcher, and that's kind of my thing. That's my hobby. Is I go down the rabbit holes of things that interest me. And so in a very short period of time, I mean, I actually had the paper guidebooks and was flipping through the paper guidebooks because I didn't have any loans to work on. So
Right.
that first 2 years, I mean, I was literally just getting in the guides and truly understanding them, and then PDF find within the PDF, like you could start searching things. So like then I got really effective at like how to research through that. And the good thing about what I was injected to really fast is, because of my personality, I did have a lot of people that ended up gravitating towards me. So it gave me a lot more at bats early on in my career to look at a lot of loans, to review a lot of loans, because I was reviewing all of them as they were getting disclosed and all of that. So it was a unique thing that happened to me. I wouldn't suggest a lot of people getting into the business and just becoming a branch manager. And because you can imagine those first couple of companies I was with kind of giving an Encompass login and giving the keys to a kingdom to a 21-year-old,
Right.
the support wasn't all that fantastic, So I didn't set myself up for success, but I learned a lot. I mean, I learned so much through those processes, and then I ended up going to a company that I was with for 7 years and learned a lot through that journey. I had a great mentor. His name's J.R. Downs. Fantastic mentor through that from an operations standpoint. Was surrounded by really good people, but like ultimately decided like, hey, I need to innovate and I need to change. So if you're a younger person watching this in the business, the reality is technology is advancing and things are advancing at a rapid pace. and the likelihood that the OGs of the business are going to innovate and stick around is probably very unlikely. So even if you're kind of eating crow right now and getting your teeth kicked in because you're figuring it out and you're younger than 30 and you're new to the business, just take solace in the sense that it's all coming to pass and the technology side is rapidly advancing and you're going to be equipped more than the OGs. Some of them will innovate, but the majority won't. And you're going to be able to set yourself up for a what I think is a very amazing decade that we're embarking into.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's an innovator's playground right now. Like there's this incredible opportunity where over the last couple of years where loan volume has been low. What's really interesting is when I got into the business about 10 years ago, the average age of a loan officer was in the high 50s. I want to say it was like 58 years old. Most recent statistic I read was it was 44. So we've seen a big drop in the average age, and I think that is because of an infusion of youth in the 2020 and 21, boom. We saw a lot of people come in and do the refinances for a top producer out there and just sort of cut their teeth on the business. And what that has done has really opened up this new thought in mortgage where we're seeing this innovation really start to creep in. And I think we're about to see this innovative boom here in the next 5 years that's really going to change everything. And I think you're a part of that, right? Like you're clearly doing some very innovative things. And so, real quick, tell us how you got to be the founder of Legendary and kind of what you're working on today to carve out a future for the next 5, 10 years.
Yeah, the name Legendary Mortgage, I had owned the trademark on for many years. I bought it, I think, sometime in 2017 or 2018, and
Playing
at that
catch.
time it was a lot more expensive to trademark the name. So I spent like 12 grand on something that like totally knew I wasn't going to use for a long period of time. But that thought process, like really the creating a legendary experience and creating this mentality of legendary mindset and going deep into that, you're creating. I was laying the blocks for that because I knew like I'm a believer and I felt like that name was put into my head for a reason. Like I had this burning thing in the pit of me that was like, you're going to do something with this. At some point, you're going to find the right opportunity to launch that. And it was just how I kind of started basing my life as I was maturing and as I was growing as a leader. Like I was building these foundational pieces of, hey, this is what a legendary life looks like. So one of our core values within our brand is live legendary. So everybody's got their own version of that. And it's been really cool to kind of see all of that come together of like, hey, this loan officer's version of living legendary might be that they only do 3 loans a month and they do all of them are higher balance, but they don't want to do a ton of units. They want to spend time with their kids. And that's where my focus is really understanding that person as they come into my environment and doing it that way. So that's where that brainchild, I mean, honestly, it was me and I think somebody else. And I was like, man, I just really want to, like, this business is so flawed. I really want to create a legendary experience. And I was like, wait a second, let me go on GoDaddy and, and figure out if the domain name's available. So like I had trademarks on other things in the past, went on there, found it, and then I was like, "Ow, I wonder if somebody's got to be using this. This name is good. Like somebody's got to be." So then I went to the trademark search, and nobody was. So it felt like divine intervention to me, and so I went and ran face first into getting trademarks and making all of that happen. And from there, Lower gave me the opportunity to do it, and I took the opportunity and feel like I've made good on my promises. They've made good on theirs, and it's been really awesome, honestly. And just being able to push that name and really kind of live out a dream of mine that I've had for a long time. If you'd have told me at 18 that like, hey, dude, your dream at like close to 30 is going to be to launch a mortgage brand and really push it, I'd be like, dude, you're out of
Yeah, dude.
your mind. But it's where I'm at now, and it is a passion project for me. And I think you can see, and everybody that's in my environment and people that know me can see, like, I really do live, eat, and die by this. Like, this is fun for me. I've gamified the mortgage business. I've gamified innovation and AI and those kind of things. So like it's a big game for me. I really do love the client too. I my dad raised me to be somebody that truly cares for the individual client. So I don't give up on loans. If somebody comes to me with a low credit score, we're the type of people that are going to really work through that with them. So it's just all of those pieces coming together allowed me to be where I'm at launching it and
Well,
doing the innovation pieces that I'm doing.
I love that you thought of the name years ago, 7, 8 years ago, and decided, okay, there's an opportunity here. I'm going to plant, I'm going to plant my flag on it. I'm going to own it, and then eventually it will come. I just know that by doing that, we're always sort of either subconsciously or consciously working towards that moment where it was yours, right, and it was built. And so I think if you're out there struggling with what do I do next, sometimes you just have to take action, and then things will fall into place because you're forcing things to happen, right? And so I love that you did that. But let's talk a little bit like your role as a leader and how you're supporting your team and some of the things that you're doing to innovate. Like, I love that you're building out this CRM, and that's something I really wanted to dig into, just the process of learning that and all that. But let's start with just your role as a leader and the support that you're providing.
Yeah, so my role as a leader is to be the person that is making sure that underwriters aren't going off of the track and kind of making sure that I keep an eye on that kind of thing. And then of course also facilitating just vision casting and sales and making sure that loan officers know what it takes to be successful. I've been very blessed to have great people around me, so I've been able to promote within. I've got a head of sales training now in Jenny King. She's doing a fantastic job with that. And that's really been my maturation over the last 2 years as a leader too, is being able to trust and delegate. And the great thing about that is God has put people in my life that have been the right pieces to the puzzle in a lot of cases when it comes to just our overall organizational setup within Legendary. And that's been the cool maturation for me. And I'm a very self inward thinker, so I do evaluate myself a lot. I have these moments, and I was talking to Brian Covey on a podcast yesterday, where at the end of every night I have a cool down period where I evaluate my day and like maybe how I handled a situation correctly or incorrectly, and sometimes I come up with a value drop that I can give to my team. Like, hey guys, I just want to share a failure on how I handled a situation yesterday, so you guys don't fail too. And so that's kind of the leadership style for me. I'm very forward focused, and I think that that's a big issue in our business, and I think people gravitate to that because I do vision cast a lot, and sometimes I vision cast and it doesn't come to pass because it's the technology hasn't caught up with where that vision is. And as things go, like now technology is catching up to some of the visions that I've had. So it's been cool. It's been cool to be able to attract like-minded people. We are kind of a younger group. We are attracting kind of some younger originators. We are attracting some older originators that are needing that shot in the arm and needing that bump, and that's the kind of leadership that we're going to bring. That's the kind of leader that I am. Is like I'm gonna bring the energy. You're gonna see that I'm here every day. You're gonna see that I really love this business. You're gonna see that I've got your back. Like I will always have my loan originators backs. Like in customer service issues, like I'm on the phone a lot of the times because I think that I do also have a superpower for being a hostage negotiator. If mortgages don't work out, the
Yeah,
FBI, I'm here. Like I'm
there you go.
my track record, I think would be very great as a hostage negotiator. But no, that's who I am. You won't ever find me shaken. That's something I take pride in. I'm the guy that you're going to want in the foxhole with you because I don't get shaken. I played quarterback. You throw that pick six, you have that big failure, and you got to be able to go back on that field and throw a touchdown and get your team back in the game. And it's the same thing in business. If you're the type of leader that really gets down on those failures and you get shaken, the team around you is going to see that, and it's going to be very easy for them to not be accountable to their emotions when they have the same thing happen to them.
Right. And I love just to call out that, you've got a team that Maybe in the same age range and things like that, but you also mentioned like bringing on other loan officers that are a little older, and the reason I want to call that out is I think evolution is a mindset and not an age. Like there's no age to the mindset of wanting to expand or grow or scale or do something different. Like there's no age to innovation. And there's a million examples of it, right? Like you see all the memes about what is it, Colonel Sanders, and everybody who got started at like 64 and things like that. It's never too late to start. It's all about starting. And so, when you can find people that are like-minded, you can really build a very special team. So I just wanted to call that out. I love what you're doing. So take us through this CRM creation, how that came to like, was that a vision cast from the past that's finally kind of caught up with where technology is, or and just the process that you've been going through to learn, to build, and hopefully launch here in the near future.
Yeah, for me, the CRM thing has been one of those thorns in my side from the really the time I've been in this business. A lot of the CRMs, there's really no in between. Like there's two mediums when it comes to CRMs in the mortgage business. There's either the bare bones ones that are still stuck in a decade ago and aren't innovating, and they had their customer base and they're just where they're at. And then there's the ones that have a ton of features that, in my opinion, really don't matter to help people sell better. And they're just layered and complicated and not user friendly, so you don't get any adoption. And maybe if you could get everybody trained on it, like maybe it would be effective, but the UI of it is so freaking complicated when you first jump in it that it's just like nobody's ever going to use it. The average loan officer is trying to figure out how to get 3 deals closed in a month. They don't have the ability to go and go through a university training on how to use their CRM. That's kind of where it came from. I was evaluating CRMs again. I'm not a big fan of the CRM that I'm currently using, and going through and just finding features that are important to me. I think that a feature that's important to me is dialing and calling, because TCPA, the updates are going to happen whether we like it or not, and I need to be able to manage that. Texting, same thing. There's going to be regulation updates that are going to make this more difficult. Need to be able to manage that. A lot of the CRMs don't have dialers embedded into them and texting features in a way that's easy, not like, hey, I need to go set up campaigns and go all these 100 different places and all this different stuff. And then also just the make sense stuff, like being able to get an email campaign pushed out and it not take me 3 weeks to figure out how to do it,
Right. Sure.
and still have the hierarchy there to where from a compliance perspective it's compliant and all that. But that's what started the journey. This journey started literally 2.5 weeks ago, or no, a week ago.
Okay.
I said, screw it. I'm not signing up for any of these. I'm just going to make my own.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the kind of person that I am. I'm gonna jump off the cliff and have like maybe some flapping wings of my arms, and hopefully I'll build a 747 around me while I'm
Yeah.
flying before I hit the ground. But with modern technology, I've been able to create the basic UI of it within a week. And then now I'm in the phase of literally creating the things that are going to be trackable. I mean, Calendly is a great tool. I use Calendly a ton. I've already been able to build like a Calendly type UI inside of it. Now I just need to get it to work and work effectively. So it's that kind of stuff that like really got me down the path. Like as a loan officer, if I'm going to be using all of these tools to make my life better, to be able to time block better, to be able to get through my day better, why can't I build something that just has all of that inside of it?
Right.
And has it inside of it in a way that it's not overly complicated, because all of the stuff that I'm describing could get very complicated very fast, and the user experience of that could get crazy really really quickly. So for me, I've reviewed tens of thousands of loans. I mean, I've with my team and with my career, I've closed over 3,000 loans. And so through that process, I know what it takes to get a loan from point A to point B pretty quickly. And that's the last kind of thing I'll say about a CRM is I think that everybody is just really viewing a CRM in the wrong way, because they don't build them in a way that it makes it effective to have ops inside of it as well, which then makes it to where if that loan officer is trying to manage their pipeline effectively, they have to go out of platform to then go talk to their ops staff in order to manage those clients when they're in process. And I think that's a major flaw with a ton of CRMs that I plan on, if I get this thing to launch and get this thing to work, that's going to be one of the major focuses is not only the upfront sales process within that CRM, but what is the interaction like between a loan officer and their ops staff, especially siloed like I am, to be able to have that communication embedded into that client profile and then be able to communicate with your processor within the platform and communicate with your LOA within the platform. So if you're ever need to go back and be like, it is a nightmare to dig through text messages, to dig
Oh, yeah.
through emails, to dig like I'm going to have email embedded into this thing in a way that its functionality is the processor can email from it. They don't have to go into their Outlook. They can manage their email from the platform. And then when it recognizes the client email or it recognizes the file number, it just drops all that correspondence into that deal or into that client profile. So that's my quick little
Love it.
vision for it. And hopefully I can make it work.
Yeah, man. Well, I just love that you're doing it, right? Like I think that's you've identified a problem. You know, when I think of a CRM, I think of like a Swiss Army knife, and you've got some out there that are like this thick, and they've got toenail clippers, and they got all kinds of random stuff in it, and you're like, I don't need any of that. I just need like a sharp knife and maybe a file, and so
Yeah.
a few things. But we get so overzealous with I want to add this, and then and as it just feels like sometimes
And there's
it's way too much.
there's none of them that are consulting with a coach. Like Amir's fantastic, Dustin's fantastic. These people are great. I feel like I'm good at coaching the process of getting a loan through the system and acquiring a client. There's none of these CRMs are getting coaching from somebody like that to
Sure.
where they're building a process that should be followed. So like you get this CRM and out of the box, it's got this 12-step playbook in it that if you'll follow it, and we've got automatic triggers that are going to remind you to follow it, that we guarantee you, if you follow it to a T, you'll make six figures in this business, like, and that's the thing too about CRMs that I think are being missed is it's great you give me all this functionality to be able to send out emails and stuff, but I need you to I need that CRM to have my playbook in it. That way, my Tuesday update calls to my realtors are time blocked and they're already on my calendar because that's part of the CRM and that's part of my playbook. And my prospecting time, it's built into that. It's built in and it's set in there. It's on my calendar. I don't have to go build it out. All of that kind of stuff is what I'm going to be focusing on with this. And then we've created something I call the 5-5 commitment. So it's our legendary commitment to our referral partners, which is if you pass a lead to us, we're going to follow up with that lead in a certain way for 5 days straight. And if they don't reciprocate communication, we're going to give you a status report and let you know what's going on with it. If they do reciprocate communication and book a home purchase consultation with us, you'll get the transcript of that home purchase consultation after it's scrubbed by AI, so there's no PII data in it and all that kind of stuff. And then you'll know what's going on with your client as a partner of ours. You'll know what the next step is in the process, and that's the last soapbox I'll jump off of in the mortgage business is if we're gonna in the purchase forward side, if we're gonna really say that we drive value to our referral partners, but have no transparency into what that value looks like or even what the process looks like. I can't tell you how many loan officers and how many branch managers I talk to that literally cannot articulate their process in the least bit. They can't do it in a 60-second span or a 120-second span. They just can't do it. And that's a big problem in our business in the sense that like if that CRM had some of that stuff built into it, and my CRM will have a course thing on the bottom of it, I'm going to pre-package coaching courses into it for my team because it'll be my team on it, of course, at the beginning. And then that's where our repository of all the courses that I want to do are going to live. And it's thinking outside of the box of like, all right, this is going to be a client relationship management system. No, this is going to be a system that takes loan officers from 2 loans to 10 loans or
Yeah.
from 10 loans to 20 loans. And that's what I think would advance the business in a big way.
And that's the real value, right? Like, and building it with the knowledge that you have. I love the call out on, building something with the actual process in mind versus just, throwing tools upon tools upon tools, and really having that, A to Z, as part of the journey of the build. Makes perfect sense. And then you can add things in to support the team. But yeah, I mean, in this business, it's all about how do we help you either grow and scale your business or get what you're comfortable doing done in less time. And, if you can build something that effectively executes both, then yeah,
Yeah.
you're onto something, man. So,
Yeah, and like just the automation side of it too, like we were talking about kind of at the beginning, is with our 5-5 commitment, like having a CRM that once you drag that tile, because the pipeline views will be draggable, you
mhm.
drag it to contact one made. If you haven't made that contact by 3 p.m. the next day, because your dialer is going to be in it and your texter is going to be in it, if it doesn't see that you've done that as a loan officer, it's going to shoot you a text and say, "Hey, you're about to violate your 5-5 commitment."
Mm.
Like that's the kind of stuff that I see these
Accountability,
things
and yeah,
like
love it.
it's all doable, it's all very possible to do, and that's what I mean about having that a proven process built into it. That way it's keep it simple stupid. It's not hard to do, it's all out of the box, it's done, it's
Right.
proven, it works. And then your realtor partners or your CPAs or whoever it is that has sent you business is like, dude, this company's great because I know what's going on all the time. Like, and a lot of it will be out of sight, out of mind for the loan officer if a CRM's built the right way. It'd just be updating. And kind of V2 of it would be a realtor would be able to have their own login and
Yeah.
see the things that they're allowed to see, and
Right.
have that Domino's pizza tracker for the deals that they're working on with us, like here's where we're at. We still need this addendum, and give them the ability to upload the addendum in the portal, all that kind of stuff. It's all doable, and hopefully I can accomplish it because it will
Yeah.
be sick if
And
I
it
do.
won't just be great, it'll be legendary.
It'll be legendary. Exactly.
Well, Mike, I really appreciate you joining me today, having this conversation. Nothing but bright things ahead for you, obviously. I can tell that you really represent like the future of this business. So it's great talking with you today, and just thanks for joining the lowdown.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you having me.
You got it.